Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. Thanks for joining me, whether you're watching live on Facebook or if you're catching the replay on YouTube. I am so glad that you're here. I'm Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here to help you connect with your people, whether that's gathering to craft together or you making handmade items to share with them. It's all about making and deepening those connections. So let's get to it. All right, first up, as always, we have Friday night Stampin' results, which the holiday weekend really got me, so I completely forgot to post today, but the winner was Stamper Man with the boat card, and there were quite a few of you, hello, Penny, quite a few of you that guessed correctly that Russ made the boat card and I made the mountain card. We did have a few incorrect guesses, but it's kind of funny, we both pulled out the balmy blue on Friday. Independently, as usual. But yeah, so this was the winner. And I did want to point out too that he die cut the clouds and then ran them through the embossing folder. So to give them some more dimension. Very cool technique. He said he was going to make himself a retirement card. So hopefully we can use this soon. All righty. And I did want to point out that I did stamp on my ribbon because I messed up the sentiment underneath it. But then I also messed up. Oops. I still like it. All righty. Okay, onward. A couple of things I want to mention. First of all, there is the virtual album retreat. You still have time to get in on that. The retreat is July 16th through 18th in a private Facebook group. You do need to purchase the album kit in order to be invited to that retreat, and then you are free to attend it at that point. And you will be putting together a full year's worth of album, 12 two-page spreads. So that is good to get in on. Basically, the kit is while supplies last. I did check, and there are still supplies available, and they said they were going to sell them until they ran out. So I believe the links are in the video description. So if you want to check out the kit, there's a great video that walks you through every spread, and there's also a link to purchase the kit. So just announced today, hot off the presses, the 9th, which is Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in the US here, the two-tone cardstock will be on sale. And that is not something that I have used yet. So I think I'm going to put it on my next order conveniently this week, I think, right? So I can get 20% off as well. And the two-tone cardstock is basically like, you know, it's pumpkin pie on one side and it's a slightly lighter shade of pumpkin pie on the back side. So whatever colors you're getting two tones of that same color, okay? Some of the benefits are they are white core cardstock. So if you rip it, like we're gonna do tonight, you'll get that white edge. If you run it through like the embossing folders, you can do a little bit of sanding. Sometimes that's not even needed, and you'll see that white core in it as well. So it gives some extra dimension to everything. You can also do some cool folds and get both of those tones showing. So we'll have some fun with that in the future when I get my own in, and I'll show you what you can do with it. So just order some in anticipation of loving it. All righty. So that's all the fun notes out of the way, and now we can get started on what we're doing today. And this week is Take a Sip, stamps, ink, and paper. And literally, you guys, I really got it down to that this week. So this is the sample that I was showing on the cover photo for this event. I'm going to be making it with different papers tonight. So I've got 3 different ones to show you. This is the celebratory SIPs paper, which is one of my favorites. I mean, those are just gorgeous colors. But basically, this is all just thick white cardstock, a pack of paper, 1 ink pad, and a stamp set. I mean, it is perfect for those of you that are getting started. It's perfect if you're going to be traveling and you want to take a little something to do while you're traveling. The next one I made only had 5 strips, and this is the lovely garden paper. Again, gorgeous. This one's really fun because all the back sides of these are black and white. So you got some cool contrast going in between those. And then tonight, I am going to make one with the Country Lace designer paper. So these are the designs I have picked out, and I actually put them out of order, so I didn't even know what I was going to do with them. So, and what I kind of did when I was going through the papers was I picked out 3 that had this design on them in different colors. So we've got, I think that's Peach Pie and Smoky Slate and Misty Moonlight. So, but they all have that cool kind of eyelet design on it. So very pretty, right? I love this technique. I saw a card in a group I'm in like last week, and I immediately said, that's what I'm doing. So, and then I grabbed so we have another one like that, but I grabbed the other side of the papers because they're a little more subdued. So we've got another Smoky Slate, I think. I think this is Basic Beige, or maybe this is. I'm not sure. So, but they all look fine together. So what I decided to do, I think I wanted to go darkest to, kind of lighter, right? So I'm going to try doing this way. I'm just kind of getting a dry fit idea of how they're going to look together. I didn't want the 2 grays together. I know that. So we'll throw that one in there. And we'll grab this one next, and then a gray. And then this cool, like that looks like mattress ticking or something. It's very cool. See, I think this is Basic Beige. No, I think this is Basic Beige, and it looks, but it's kind of close actually. So I'll just ramble on for a while. Yes, so I kind of like that progression, don't you? But basically this is what I did with both of the other cards. I picked out the designs I liked that I thought would go nicely together. And it's kind of hard to go wrong because the pack is meant to coordinate together. So if you just grab one pack of pattern paper, you're good to go. And then I just kind of started putting them in different orders, like what would look good, what would break up. For these, I wanted the black and whites between things. And I kind of knew I wanted these bigger flowers on the outside and that smaller flower on the inside, right? Oh, yeah, I have it right here. Sorry. I will look. Oh, this is Petal Pink, not Peach Pie. And yes, it is Basic Beige. They're both Basic Beige. So they just, because of the pattern, it looks a little different. And then this one I actually played around with quite a bit because all of the patterns are pretty nice. These are kind of more of the more subtle patterns. So I just, stacked them differently, dry fit them as you will, until I was happy with the progression. And I did like this progression of the blackberry and then adding the green and then into the green. So I thought that was good too. All right. Let's get to it here. So what I did, I had to dig out my trimmer. And I will tell you that you can do 5 or 6 strips. Obviously, you could do fewer or more. It's just going to depend on how wide you cut your paper, right? So for me, I found it best that if I was doing 6 strips, I would cut them into 1 1/4 inch thicknesses. There is not an exact science to this because, as you could see, they were, they're going to be very varied when you put them together. I am doing 6, right? Yes. So, but 1 1/4 seemed to work well because it gave me enough to like hold on to when I was tearing the paper. If you're going to do 5 strips, I found that 1 1/2 inch works well because you do need it to cover a little more space on the card because you have 1 fewer strip, right? So that is what I found works well for me on a standard card. So 4 1/4 inches wide, right? If you're going to throw in an extra layer, you're going to have only 4 inches to cover. So, you might need something a little bit less. So it's one of those kind of play around. The other thing about this is everything except the one on the on the left is going to be overlapping. So if you made it a little too big or whatever, you just overlap the next one a little bit more, right? So very easy to kind of fudge your way through this one. Oops. I need to make sure they're all 5¼ inches long. I forgot. Because I just grabbed pieces. So you're seeing kind of the whole process. I think, yeah, I can get those all done. It looks like really the only one that was longer than that was that one, so we're fine. Okay. So here we go. So the next thing you're going to do is just start tearing paper. And this is something I actually learned like 20 some years ago when I started stamping, because we didn't have all the fancy tools and die cut machines and everything back in my day. So we did a lot of tearing and things like that. And so you just take your fingers and you're going to tear towards you, and it's going to leave that white edge. And that is what you're looking for, because you want that kind of rustic feeling, right? So I'm taking maybe about a 1/4 inch off, but like I said, it is not an exact science. You just kind of go for it. And you can make it as wiggly or as straight as you want or are able to. So they're not all going to have the same exact edge. We used to have a tool that was, it was kind of like a fancy edged ruler, and you would put it down on your paper and then you would tear, and it would tear right along that edge. So every torn edge was exactly the same. But that kind of defeats the point, I think, doesn't it? I did use it for a few times, but it's much easier to just do this. So I ended up just doing this every time I wanted to tear paper. I don't know how y'all spent your holiday weekend. If you had a holiday weekend, Russ had to work till 5 on Friday, so I got other things done. And then we stamped Friday night, which was nice because he's been working some nights on Fridays, so we've had to pre-stamp. And this week he's off on Friday again, so we get to stamp on the true Friday. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that kind of dry fit thing, right? It makes you, okay, this is funny. It makes you anxious because it's not all the same. But that way it's all forgiving. See, that's the nice part about it, is that, if you didn't quite get them all exactly the same width, it's okay because it looks like you weren't meant to. So I just do kind of a dry fit here across the card so I can see where everything will end up. Wow, and that looks pretty good. So we're good to go. So what I'm going to do now, I think I'm actually going to use my Stampin' Seal. And you can kind of leave those in place, or you can make some little pencil lines if that makes you less anxious to see exactly where you're going to place them. But like I said, because everything's torn and just kind of higgledy-piggledy, I just went with it and I didn't worry about it. You could obviously add to this card. You could add ribbon. You could add another layer. You could add a lot of bling. You could put all of these layers together on a separate card front, and then you could run them through an embossing folder for a quilted look. Like, there's lots of ways to zhuzh it up, as we say. But this, I love this because it is just that simple technique. And mine, if you can see, are not even all even up top. They're slightly different lengths. And I am just not even worried about it. because it's supposed to be a kind of a more rustic card. So it's fine. As our oldest grandboy used to say, it's fine. I basically want kind of the edges, I want that nice white edge all the way around. That is super soft and pretty, right? I like it. I mean, I guess, that's a little self-congratulatory, but there you go. Okay. So now, like I told you, we're only going to use thick white cardstock and a pack of paper, 1 ink pad, 1 stamp set. And I've made all 3 of these samples with the same ink pad and the same stamp set. So even if you got 3 packs of paper, you could make a whole bunch of different looking cards and still be pretty under budget, I think. So I am using the Unbounded Love stamp set. For cards like this, I would recommend a full sentiment stamp set, or you can have one with images, but make sure you've got plenty of variety of sayings as well. That's true. I usually am the one that needs it to be just so. I am not OCD, but I do have some tendencies for sure. So point taken. But look at me just letting it go. So I am going to do a little just for you card because that is super versatile, right? Very sticky stamp. And I have chosen basic gray. Now, I will tell you, basic gray, I think, is the workhorse that many people might overlook because we usually tend to go to black, right? But basic gray is a little softer than black, but it's still makes an impact. It's seen. It's not hiding in the background, The other one I really love is Early Espresso. It's such a deep, rich brown. Again, a little softer than black, So if you want to have one kind of neutral ink pad, I would say go with either the basic gray or the Early Espresso, depending on what other papers you've chosen. So kind of look at your designer papers that you've chosen, and are they more to the black gray or are they more to the brown side? And choose accordingly. Okay, so as I said, we are only using the white cardstock and the designer paper. So if you put this plain white greeting on here, it's going to get a little lost. It's fine. It's absolutely fine that way. But if you want to take it up a little notch, right, you grab your basic gray ink pad, grab your sentiment that you just did, and you're literally just going to dip the edges into that ink pad. And it's basically going to give you a gray layer all the way around. So now if you put that on your card, you've got that oof, right? It's got a frame to it. It's saying, pay attention to me. This is just for you. So you can either put that down flat or, as I'm going to do, because let's face it, these are super, super cheap. So just add them to your order. You need dimensionals. That's all there is to it. So we're just going to use a couple because this is a pretty small square. And putting something on the diagonal or on a slant or something like that is always very interesting. So if you feel like, oh, I'm making such plain cards because I don't have a lot of supplies, pop something on the diagonal, or as I did on this one, give that a little, diagonal trim to it, right? So there you go. There are the 3, I must say, pretty fabulous cards. I absolutely love mixing designer papers. A lot of us have trouble picking which designer paper to use because they're all so pretty in the pack, right? This is one of those ways you can use 5 or 6 designs on one card and it doesn't look overly busy or anything like that, right? The designer paper is the star of the show. Thanks, Penny. So, yes, so a supply list for this one, the celebratory sips, is in the video description. I will have supply lists and measurements, such as they are, for all 3 of them in this week's email newsletter. So if you have not signed up for that yet, make sure that you do. If you missed any of my previous ones, I am always open to just shoot me an email and say, hey, I really want this particular card measurements, and I will shoot that newsletter out to you as well. So once you've signed up, you can get some back issues. All right, next week, we are tackling another sketch, and I already have all of my samples made and everything planned, and you don't want to miss it because I'm throwing in like a super duper special version of this sketch, okay? A little teaser for you. All right, that is all I have for you tonight. So thanks so much for joining me. Here is your reminder that if you got some inspiration or if you got some new ideas, go ahead and share the video or tag your bestie in the comments so they can learn a little something too. Until next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.